Oh, yeah.
Hey, Jen, can you hear me okay? Excellent. Hey, everybody. Is it nice and toasty down at the city offices?
It's pretty.
It's actually really wonderful, Anthony.
Oh, look at that. I missed the
Come on, you should hang
party
out
for
in the
nothing.
mods.
Yeah.
Come hang out in the mods, man.
They do have air conditioning.
It's functional. Hey, I'm not knocking it, believe me.
I wonder.
It feels very good in here compared to outside.
Yes.
I see we've got Jen there, we've got Robin. I think we've got a quorum. If we're good to get started, I'm happy to get started unless we're waiting on some, I don't see Susie. I didn't know if she was appearing in person or if she's out of frame.
He's not gonna be able to attend, Anthony.
Okay, well, if everybody's ready, well, let's just get started. We'll call our meeting this evening to order. City of Carlton Planning Commission. Today is Monday, August 14th, 2023, 6 p.m. We'll just do a quick visual roll call. We have, I think, City Council here. We've got Commissioner for Madrid, Commissioner Geck, Amaya, and Nordstrom, and myself, Stuart. We are missing Ms. Terrell and who else? Amy?
Yeah, Mr. Bandy.
Mr. Bandy.
And Bandy, Mr. Bandy, understood. We will request approval of the minutes from the May 17th. It's been a while since we've all been together. The May 17, 2023 meeting minutes are found starting at page 3 of our meeting packet this evening. Are there any corrections, modifications, additions, or other changes to that? Otherwise, we'd invite motion to approve.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
There's a first and a second. All in favor, raise your digital and/or beautiful in-person hands. Passes unanimously. Excellent. I don't see anybody out in Zoom land. Is there anybody here at the city offices for providing citizen comments today?
There is not, Chair.
There is none. All right, so we move on to our discussion and action items. First one is establishing a liaison or a semi-formal or formal liaison with City Council. There have been some discussions that have been had, and I think we wanted to bring this to the Planning Commission to just discuss it in full. Did Shannon or Amy want to give us a little bit of a primer for everybody to organize this conversation point?
The new planning commission ordinance, there was a section J, that allowed a youth under age 21 as an ex officio member for the planning commission. When we raised this before, the planning commission was very excited about encouraging the school and engaging the school to try to see if there was a student that might be interested in doing so. At that point in time, the commission talked about different routes that individual commissioners would take to try to open up some pathways to see if there might be youth or open up pathways at school that has youth. And so this is just an opportunity for the planning commission to discuss details about how to proceed with that.
Excellent, thank you. I think that is our agenda item for 4B. We'll go ahead and have that conversation, and then we'll revert back to 4A after we talk about the student representative. So I think I recall the follow-up was going to be speaking with some of the maybe staff at the school, both in the Yamhill Carlton district, and then maybe if there was no interest there, maybe expanding out into the area for other people. Has there been any contact made with school staff?
I know I had offered to do that, and I ended up with a bunch of travel and stuff, and I did not before school ended. I apologize. I'm happy to try and do that as we're getting closer. You know, I think like this school staff and everything is back in session, so I can go ahead and try and reach out to some people this month.
Do we have any more, Ms. Madrid?
I had mentioned Janet Herring Sherman, who's the Aspire coordinator at YC. She had some health issues and was out for some surgery, but when I did talk to her about it back in May, she thought the timing was pretty poor because, you know, they're getting ready for graduation and everybody just had a very full plate. It was not a good time. I did talk with her last night and I resurfaced that question. They'll be going back to school, I think she said next Thursday. She's planning on being in her office, so they are willing to be the liaison, if that's the correct word, but in other words, put feelers out there as the kids come back to school. So it was not a dead issue, it was just a timing issue. So I did have that conversation with her again last night, and I think we could get a viable candidate or candidates from Carlton High School. And that's about all the information I have right now.
Mr. Meyer?
Yeah, I wonder if we could utilize any of the city's social media channels to potentially just put something out there about that we're looking or recruiting. And I know there's lots of parents and folks that are especially on the Facebook page in Carlton, that it might be a good way to get the word out that we're looking for a youth member.
If the commission were to draft something, we can certainly put it out on the official channels. Our official channel is the Instagram and as well as Nextdoor. And we can put it in weekly tidbits. Facebook is a private Facebook page.
Right, but does the city have a Facebook page that's connected to the Instagram? No.
Just have one quick question, and I think Shannon would probably be the person to answer it, or potentially Amir. In our discussions, and this was, 3-ish months ago, we talked about youth age 21 or under. And I think we kicked around a high school senior, but then it didn't have to be a senior because then they put in a year and then it's a continuity thing. But I'm taxing my memory here, so I apologize. The reason it couldn't be somebody over the age of 21 is because they would then be eligible to be an actual planning commission member. Is that correct? Because there's other kids or candidates that I know that are a little older than 21, not much, who could be interested. And are we limited, is my question, I guess, to the age 21 or under?
So currently in the ordinance, it says 21 years of age and under, so that's what's provided in the ordinance. And I think the intent was not necessarily that they would be eligible as commissioners at that point, but rather that it was for a youth opportunity. And so that was why the age.
Okay, so that's not an arbitrary cutoff, but that's the reason for the cutoff. Okay. Thank you, because I just couldn't remember if we had discussions about that or not.
So is this something we would like to put ice on for some of these further preliminary conversations, both with Commissioner Madrid and Commissioner Nordstrom, and then kind of tap into it? The next meeting is going to be September 11th. Susie Terrell will be serving as chair for that and possibly the subsequent meeting. But she could take a little bit better of a pulse reading at that point. And then if those initial conversations do not bear fruit, we can follow up with maybe a more direct inquiry through city social media, or to maybe perhaps the school board or other schools administration. Does that work for you guys, or would you like to start with the social media over the next month?
Jennifer?
I'm wondering if we couldn't just, rather than, we could social media, but even just as simple as putting something in, the community news that comes out. I don't know how many people read it, but it seems like an official channel. There's usually a planning commission link there. And if we could just add something that says, hey, the planning commission, it shouldn't be hard to draft a couple sentences that say, planning commission, is looking for a student member. Here are the requirements, contact so-and-so if you. But that seems like a nice official place.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you, Jennifer, just because I think it's important to get the ball rolling. But realistically, Anthony, September 11th, the kids will have been in school 5 days. So realistically, for us to say we're gonna come back in September and have somebody from YC, probably wouldn't be till October, but I'd like to get the ball rolling, and I think the social media is an excellent idea. I like the community news, and I think if we could put something like we do for other things with meeting notices and whatnot, just like in the post office, everybody goes to the post office.
I think it also, if there is something like on the county commission or the planning commission webpage, right, it's a place to send students. So if the liaison at YC says, oh, hey, are you interested? Here's where you go to find the contact information, right?
Right.
If that's somewhere that's accessible, that would help too.
Here's a thought, this is completely left field. I think he'd be okay with it, but would you be okay with it? There's nothing more visible than the reader board at Carlton Corners. Is that possible? Because it's not an official city job opening, it's a youth volunteer. And I know they put up things for YCAP in the past, they put up things for FFA in the past.
That's a great idea.
I mean, I'm sure Mike would do it, but it just, you know,
Someone has to ask him.
mayor, city manager, I mean, it's a little out there because it's not an official thing, but it'd sure get great visibility. I'd be happy to ask Mike.
I like,
You okay with that? And it's currently sitting blank, which is in itself odd,
Odd.
because he always has lots of stuff up there, but I mean, I can certainly make a phone call.
I also,
I think
I have a
it's a great
contact, contact for someone who runs, or part of the leadership group over at the high school. So I can always email them too and let them know that this is gonna be coming, because they have a group of kids who I know, make posters for events and things that are coming up at the high school. So, I mean, I
Yeah,
could
that's
definitely
exactly
contact
what
them
we
now.
want to tap into
Yeah.
is, a leadership thing.
Yeah, so I mean, I already have that
Mhm.
person's contact, so I would be happy to email her for the group.
And I think it would be good to get something up on, say, the planning commission page or something that's, hey, interested in applying, send an email to blah with, why you're interested or something, just so that there's a process so that people can get into a queue. Because if it's just like, hey, there's this thing, are you interested? And there's no ability to follow through. So maybe even a first step is getting some sort of contact with, how do you apply? I think we did discuss that there should be something like sending in an email saying why they're interested or something.
Here's the thing, like Twitter's 42 characters? I think the most I've ever seen on the Carlton Corners reader board is 3 lines. And if we just said youth volunteer needed, Carlton Planning Commission, call the city office, put an email up there, how would you like to proceed?
I say call the city office.
yeah,
Okay.
phone.
852-7575. Well, I don't know, you might break the budget if that were to happen.
No, we don't have, Mike will panic, don't think we're offering pizza.
I would just, might get
The shop.
nothing. too,
No,
but-
well, yeah, food is the great equalizer, it gets everybody to the table, but if you got young kids, bottomless pit, we don't want to break the bank.
Carlton Corners is kind of a pizza place downtown, and I think they worry that we were offering.
Yeah, like Mike could
Their
think,
pizza.
hey, I said I put on the board, I didn't say I'd feed them, I can hear them right now. So, okay,
Yeah.
so youth volunteer needed, Carlton Planning Commission called 503-852-7575.
That's a great idea.
I will go see Mr. Lars.
Shannon, as
we
far
might
as
wanna make
getting
sure
some
what-
sort of,
We're clear about youth, so we're not getting like 6-year-olds.
That's what I was just saying, but Shannon just said it's 21 or under.
Yeah.
I mean,
Could have a 6-year-old.
you could have a very brainiac 6-year-old, but the thing is, they're gonna be able to have to dial a phone. And then they'll call here and they'll have some kind of little quasi job description, right? Or somebody who will answer their questions.
Yeah.
And I know,
Yeah,
in-
But
maybe.
we should, that's why it's good if we have a process so that when they call that number, they can be sent to a process or told what they need to do, rather than like, I don't know, I'll forward your name to Anthony.
yeah, in left field, I'm like, who, what, who sent
Well,
you?
and
It's-
you don't want
Sorry,
like
my
call
mind.
this
I'm not
number,
the
now
good
call
executive
this number, now call this number, like there, we
Yeah,
should have a
if they call the
process.
city number, then staff has to be briefed in who to direct that to, and that be you, Shannon?
Could be,
Amy, okay. So should we say call Amy at,
yeah, just.
call that number?
Yeah.
And they'll shoot it to Amy. Great. Thanks, Amy.
Okay, so we'll put that back on tap to check in on both of the individual efforts that'll be going on over the next month and kind of get a pulse on, especially if the sign goes up, if we get a little bit of inquiries. I personally think a 6-year-old really might be the
The way to
fire
go.
we need to really roll the dice for our next JR3. But we'll see how that goes. Thanks. Some great ideas. I appreciate the follow-up from everybody. If there's no other elements there, we'll revert back to 4A real quick, which is the planning commissioner liaison to the city council. This is one of the planning commissioners, each of one of us designating a month or two, probably 2 months during the year of going and sitting in for the full city council meeting so that we get a sense of what is coming up from us to them. I think we'd had some smaller breakout discussions on this about ensuring, if there's, that it's like an advisory or, non-participatory role. We're not giving any testimony or anything like that, especially if it's a review of a quasi-judicial hearing that we've done. And so we may have some limitations or prescriptions from city council. But I think that's kind of the topic we wanted to discuss. And Shannon, is there any update to that topic that we wanted to have today for 4A?
No, thank you, Chair. Just that I apologize for skipping over when I was going through and I saw council meeting dates. I went right to the next one. I think that was the next substitute. So I apologize for skipping 4A.
So I think maybe if we could get a list of the city council dates. I mean, do they tend to be pretty consistent every month?
We're in the package.
Or-
Page 5.
Yeah, we have,
September 5th, October 3rd, November 7th, December 5th.
They're basically
What-
the first of the month.
Page 5 in the packet, Anthony.
I'm seeing there. I was just my question was, it seems they do follow the pattern. So it's the first, you said Tuesday of every month. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
So we should be able to extrapolate out maybe through the end of 2024, and maybe we could all either do it at a meeting or kind of have a ranked choice preferential thing where we all select our first preferred and then our second preferred date. How would the commission like to go about selecting days? We've got Susie and Jim, so if we have all of 2024 and then we have the 4 remaining, that's 16. There's 7 of us. We can, everybody can sign up for 2, and then we can leave the last 2 or 3 at the end of 2024 as a TBD or to be assigned.
mhm.
Yeah, I think
Do you wanna
having,
just-
what is the group's thoughts about doing 2 in a row? So that, and if I took November, December, the next person would take January, February, so on and so forth.
Oh,
That way you kind of have a chance to get a little bit familiar with, even what was discussed last month, what's discussed this month. Idea.
I'm open to that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I'm going to pull up the calendar for 2024 real quick so that we can pull out our dates here. Oh no. I inadvertently closed my packet. I apologize. If anybody has a quicker access to
Just looking.
a calendar, let me know.
You want the first Tuesday after December 5th, 2024?
Yes, ma'am. Starting 2024.
All right, well, of course, January, there's 5 weeks.
It's likely to be the 9th because the first Tuesday is the 2nd, so given holidays.
Right, and that would
likely
follow
to move
the
it to
Monday
the 9th.
follow. So January would be January 9th, which is actually the second Tuesday. February would be February 6th. March would be March 5th. April, again, there's 5 weeks, so it'd be April 2nd. May 7th. June, June 4th. July, July 2nd. And there's 5 Tuesdays, so July 2nd. August, August 6th.
August would differ because the first Tuesday in August is always National Night Out, so that'd be the 13th.
August would be the 13th. September would be the 3rd. October starts on the 1st, on a Tuesday, October 1st. Again, 5 Tuesdays. So October is the 1st. November is the 5th. Is that not election day though also? Typically the first Tuesday,
Yeah, you're right.
then probably November 12th.
Today is not a holiday.
Yeah, historically, it's been held on election day,
Do you have meetings?
so
Election?
it'll either be the 5th or the 12th, that'll be something.
All right, well, it's
That might be one that will.
It'll be a short,
Discuss.
short.
14 months out, so we won't get too anal about it. So it's either November 5th or 12th. And then December, same story. There's 5 Tuesdays. So the first is December 3rd.
Here we go.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Madrid.
Yep.
I do like the idea of doing the 2 buys, and then just make it a little bit specific. I would be happy to volunteer for some of the springtime ones. Maybe January, February of 2024.
I'll take November, December of this year, if that is okay with anybody else.
I'd be happy to do September 5th and October 3rd.
Was that Robin?
Yeah,
Is physical presence needed or can it be Zoom?
can it be physical? Because sometimes it's difficult to hear on Zoom.
In this wonderful room with this wonderful AV system, yeah, it is.
For me, that's a problem. I'm in Mexico 6 months out of the year.
I didn't mean it as a have to. I was requesting if I could
Oh, for
come.
yourself. Okay. So,
Are you generally back in the summer, Annette?
yeah, I just got back 2 weeks ago. So what's available now?
Well, we could say bienvenidos to you next May and June. You think you'll be in town? Or
Probably-
July
no.
and August next year?
Right, I only got back 2 weeks ago, so I could do, I don't want to move it again. Can we say August, September? August
think we
6th,
could-
September 3rd.
We would have 5 in between the March and July. So if we want to have people doing the 2 buy, could you do September and October, September 3 and October 1
I don't think that's a problem.
Would you-
2024.
Would you like?
of
the
2024?
Um,
I probably
frankly,
need
things
not
at work are
June.
very unsettled right now,
Great.
but I
I'll take
appreciate
it.
you offering.
Yeah,
But I'll do September 3rd, 2024 and October 1st, 2024, yes?
Sounds good.
I need something that's not in June.
How about March and April of 2024?
I think I should be able to do that.
Okay. And then that leaves us with a total of 6, with 4 of them to be selected by Jim and Susie. If whoever's taking notes and following this up for next month, I think we've got everything else. I can shoot that in an email to everybody, what we presently have, unless somebody else has been taking the notes.
And I can be flexible on that if they need some. June, I'm doing tons of travel. So that one's trickier.
For
Okay.
me, it's just a matter of the internet. Where I'm at is not in a real good situation for internet.
All right. I'm putting I'll just put on here city council dates for PC member attendance, and then I'll send this to Shannon, Amy, and Susie, and then I'll have them say for follow-up and finalization with Susie and Jim Bandy next month. Excellent. I have sent that. Is there anybody else would like me to copy on this? Just so that you've got it in your email. I can send it to everybody if it's here.
I would just copy everybody.
Okay.
Are you gonna do like a little spreadsheet?
I'm just doing an email with text, showing the ones that are yet to
Yeah.
be
Yeah, they can
followed
see
up.
who's taken what. And I don't know, does it matter to either of you ladies? I mean, I just think generally speaking, Anthony, it would be good if we knew among ourselves which commissioner was at which meetings, not just ourselves. But if you can just show the
Right.
whole list and then we
Yeah.
know everybody's days.
Yeah, I just have on here September 5, October 3, GEC, November 7, December 5, Amaya, January 9, February 6, AW, Anthony. Sorry, I refer to myself in the weird initial third person a lot. I have Nordstrom for March and April. So it says who's who in the zoo there.
I don't
just-
mind being a fill-in either, if people can't.
Excellent. I just sent that to everybody's city emails just now.
And are they at six
Thank you.
PM?
Council meetings are at 7 p.m.
With 7.
I guess work session.
You know, would we be there for the work session too?
Depends on what you want to report back to.
Depends on what the work session
There are a
is.
lot of things to talk about at work session, like in September, we're gonna be talking about green space opportunities and development.
Mhm. Okay.
It might be, I mean, I don't, what might be nice if whoever, I don't know if Amy arranges the city council meetings and stuff too. Just like to get an email with like kind of a reminder email, especially if like the dates change or they want, if city council wants us to come to the work session or not come to the work session, just like a really quick, like whenever the agenda comes out or whatever for the city council. I know that might be a lot for each meeting to add 1 or 2 extra planning commissioners, or maybe just email all the planning commission with that information, then whoever, if that's easier, just to send it to planning commission.
Yeah, it'd be easier than just teasing out, like them having to track who's this one,
Right.
who's.
Planning commission, here's the information planning commissioners on. Yeah, I mean, I know we sometimes get that information, but. Even just with, I mean, I know we can all find the agenda and stuff online, but just like reminder. The city council meeting is this date, this time. That would be helpful, I think, for us to remember and to.
A lot of online views, but just actually attend them.
I would encourage you to at least watch the work sessions if you can't be there, to at least watch them. There's a lot of stuff that goes on there that you will see later on coming up. And it's good to have the background.
Excellent. Well, we're on a roll. Appreciate everybody doing that. Everybody's got an email for just a follow-up and allocation of those remaining days through the end of 2024. Our next joyous event is a message from our city attorney about ex parte contact and quasi-judicial hearings. You got the floor, sir.
That was
Okay.
a pretty big intro for a pretty boring topic. So I don't have a whole lot to say on this, but if anybody has questions, I would love to answer those. But primarily the concern that we're wanting to avoid, or one good issue of, is that applicants for land use decisions have a right to an impartial tribunal for any decisions that are coming to the planning commission, either directly or on appeal. You guys would be that, right? So you will recall, I think it was actually at the last planning commission meeting, we had the JR3 hearing.
In May.
Yeah, and we had very excellent disclosures from Jennifer and Susie. But the two big issues that must be disclosed are any ex parte contacts or any bias that you have that might impact your decision. In order to ensure that the decision this body makes is not invalidated, any ex parte contacts do need to be placed on the record describing the substance of the communication with, that's generally ex parte contact with an applicant or somebody involved in the land use application. And then there must also be a public announcement at the first hearing following the communication. So you can't wait until the very last minute and say, oh, by the way, I've been talking to the developer this whole time.
Well, and also like if they were to contact us.
Right. Yeah, exactly right. So just because there was ex parte contact, or you feel that there is some bias you might have that won't necessarily make it so that you can't make an impartial decision, they aren't automatically disqualifying, but the disclosure is
Important.
very important. Yes, and I think I said this before when we were having the JR Meadows meeting, but over disclosure is always better if you're concerned that something might be considered ex parte contact or might be some expression of bias. Always better just to get everything out there, even if it's not technically an issue. That's kind of all I have. Not too much. You're muted.
I'm muted. I'm trying to be too kind on Zoom. I appreciate the reminder. It's good for us to have that on a pretty regular basis. Just that our role here is process, and process requires specificity and some restraint that we might otherwise have. I know that the nature of having a lot of very involved women on the planning commission, like the ones we're fortunate to have, is that you know people. The movers and shakers of town tend to shake and move in your direction. So it's just something for us always to pay attention to on a going forward basis. And as I trust you know, if we ever have any concerns, we can always use our trusty city council to our city attorney to give us some guidance on any questions we might have.
Anthony, just make sure it's just the women. Sorry to exclude you. Sorry to exclude you, Anthony.
I
It's the
don't
women.
include myself
Them too.
specifically. Yeah, no, girls run the world.
Glad you
I
understand that.
It's been bashed into my head by sisters my whole life. Our next action item is 4D, council feedback regarding certified local government. It's referenced on page 13 of our meeting, and I guess I'll defer that to Shannon. Is that who is going to take over here today?
So the council received information at the June 6th work session about certified local government, which is part of historic district designation by SHPO. Please don't have to outline the acronym right now. I believe that's Scott.
State historical preservation.
Office is that, yeah.
So at this point in time, they heard the information. They were talking about, because there's a lot of requirements involved in becoming a CLG and a lot of restrictions and what might be a middle ground. And I'll let Scott talk a little bit more about it, but basically council said we need some time to think about this. We need some more information because we're not trying to create a number of steps in order to do this. We're just, right now, we're just looking to see if there's a way we can provide something between our informal desire to protect certain properties and put something a little more in place, but not create a lot of hurdles and a lot of things that
There
are
you go.
a lot of administrative steps and hurdles.
Yes.
So, Curry Gill is the state administrator of the Certified Local Government Program from SHPO, acronym there for State Historic Preservation Office. But a lot of cities participate in the CLG program. I don't know if is that something familiar that you can see some heads nodding and knowing what that is. So Carlton is not a CLG city. A meaning is not eligible for grant funds. And now that's why most cities throughout the state go into it, as there's pretty much some automatic money that you get. The grants are, I've applied for them for other cities, and good. And so in part, Curry and I were pretty much saying, hey, there's lots of benefits from being CLG, and council, what's your thoughts on this? I think we were pretty open-ended on it because there are some things that CLG program required a creation of a historic review board, and the board must meet at least 4 times a month, which means taking minutes and
No,
no, I'm sorry, year. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It's you talk about-
I see what you
talk
meant
about
there,
attending
Shannon.
council
Wow.
meetings. I'm sorry.
Every
yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Pizza at Mike's.
That's all I had month, year, 4 times a year. That's right. So then there's that. There's some other things as well. So that there are some administrative responsibilities, and sometimes for a small town with limited staff, that can be a challenge. And then there was also some discussion about historic district. You don't need to be a CLG to have a historic district. I think that was clarified for city council, and there was some discussion about that as well. I guess more to come. I think that's the message here, because there was not, I think when we had this agenda item on the last planning commission meeting that we scheduled and set off, but we kind of thought there might be some decision from council from the meeting there. I think in November, Shannon, does that when we go back to council with more information, I think, on this?
Unfortunately, yes.
That's all. We will keep the planning commission up to date on all of this, but not much more to report at this time.
And there will be a work session.
so there will be in November on it.
Ah,
Yeah, is that your date?
sailing season. Couple quick questions. So I'll go back and I'll be sure all this is captured in minutes. The discussion.
Yes.
So just for my edification, so SHPO, is their budget attached to the legislation like every biennium?
I believe
Allotted?
so.
Do you have any idea what their budget is?
I have no idea.
I'll look it up, but yeah, I was just curious. And then, again, just maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Was council looking at, might be getting ahead of myself, creating an ad hoc committee, much like planning, that would report to the city council?
Council was looking at a variety of options, even one that a question was asked, could planning commission serve as the historic?
That was really my question.
And
Okay,
it comes out of one, the number of meetings that have to be attended by staff and developed by staff and minutes and all of the public meetings. But it also comes out of interest in being able to get to a quorum consistently in order to make these experiments.
Right.
well, I would be concerned about a conflict of interest if we're looking at development, new construction, and so I would shoot from the hip, I think that's probably a big one.
Which is one of the reasons
But
why
I'd
we
be
said
very
there's
interested.
something in between.
Sure.
Where we don't have to have.
No, I'd be very interested. It's a thing with our family. I have a sister that was a pharmacist as a career, she retired and she went back to school and she got a master's in architectural history just because. That'd be really interesting. But yeah, keep us abreast and I'll probably get my, just for the budget stuff. Mine from state of Oregon. And this Curry Gill. Do you know their title?
No, she is I know she is the coordinator of the CLG, the state CLG program. So
So
she
it's probably like a
is
drop in.
the person who I work with, great person. And yeah, any questions about grants and what is eligible, what's not eligible?
Right.
Yeah, that's her primary responsibility, grant management of the system.
Because, yeah, I mean, I'll look back if there's audio or just in the written minutes to see you know, what the discussion was among the council. You know, it certainly add layers, but as the town grows, I think it's important. And then maybe just to put a bug in your ear or your ear, you have your next discussion with them. I would raise the question about, if it were to be something in the middle, would one or the other, planning or historic, be mutually exclusive? That's all I have.
Today's title is Grants and Outreach Coordinator, Historic Cemetery Program Coordinator.
Oh, that's.
Did you say historic cemeteries?
Yeah.
Okay, my ears are really plugged because I've asthma, allergy, cold, sore throat thing going. I'm like, what? Sorry.
That's the longest title.
Okay, I'll just look it up because I can't write that fast. That's way 2 minutes, like ordering a coffee these days, you know? Skinny, light, this, that, and there's that much coffee. Coordinator, okay.
Scott, I'm curious about, in your experience, have you run across towns our size that are a part of this?
I'm trying to think if, certainly even smaller,
Really?
Aurora, is, part of the CLG program. Very, historic minded, has a historic district there in Aurora. They're only about a little over 1,000. That's smaller than,
Less
yeah.
than half.
yeah, you know,
Mhm.
so they participate in the CLG program, and they have a separate historic review board, and they do a lot of programmatic decisions with that money. They can allocate it to certain things, I don't know, festivals and so, I mean, there's certain things you can do, physical and downtown enhancements and things like that, but they also run, I guess, festivals and things like that, which are educational programs, that sort of thing that you can utilize. So
Renaissance
there's
Fest.
quite a range of things that fall under, but yeah, there are a lot
Yeah.
of cities.
It's-
like this one.
Two of them. Piggybacking on her question. If you know this, are some of the grants structured based on, or allotted maybe based on size of town?
No, it's not. Good question. And it's not a lot of money. So it's a matching fund. It's right now it's only set at 12,000. And so it'd have to match 12,000. So the project.
These matching funds too.
Yeah, so it'd be a project of 24,000. That's, yeah, and so max you could get is 12,000.
Not a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, from it, yeah, it's not a lot of money. I guess that's the bottom line.
It's not, but you can do quite a bit with that. I mean, last year in McMinnville, we did, I ran an educational campaign for the historic properties in McMinnville. So we made poster, you know, we were able to get a designer who made posters, and then now we're selling those posters.
Nice.
That goes back to the
Further
historical.
create revenue and
Yeah.
nice.
So, I mean, and that was one that was $12,000. We matched it. So, I mean, you can do quite a bit with it if you have a good plan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely, it doesn't seem like a lot of money, but
So Shannon, is there currently something in the budget? I mean, this is probably getting ahead of myself. Is there currently something in the budget that would allow for matching, to match funds?
In fact, with all the planning work that we're doing, the budget is really stretched for all purposes.
Right.
And so, no, there is nothing in the budget at this point for historic properties. And as much as the match is $12,000 or $15,000, if you remember when we were talking about bike plans, that's our entire striping budget for the year. Yeah. So when you're talking about funding something,
Yeah.
take
No, I
it.
get it. I've done the bargaining committee the last 2 contracts in Yamhill County and it's like. Okay. Well. Interesting. Muted.
So I think we're gonna leave that. I think that what I have on here in my notes, the theme from Scott is more to come. So I think we'll revisit that over the coming few months. And you said November is the next check-in date with the council. Did I hear that correctly? Okay.
Yes.
Last action I we have here is the starting at page 14, realigning the commissioner terms, the planning commissioner terms to cohere with the most recently updated ordinance or the municipal code terms. That starts at page 14 of our meeting packet. We've outlined the members of the present planning commission as constituted, and there's an outline for the current date of, let's call it, and how long we've been in the refrigerator, we'll call it, the most recent appointments, and then proposed expiration dates. The soonest one would be Susie, expiring as of the end of 2023. Then Commissioner Madrid and myself as of the end of 2024, Commissioner Nordstrom and Bandy as of the end of 2025, and Commissioner Amaya and Gek as of the end of 2026. Since Amy's not here, Shannon, was there any comment that you wanted to add on there, or are we just looking for formal approval from the commission members?
I could actually touch on that because I was working with Amy on
Please.
this. So what Amy and I did is we just worked backwards based on the dates of appointment, and that's how we assigned the dates. So it
Everybody's
was
just getting
nothing personal with
No, I
anybody
mean-
being earlier or later, but we just wanted to formalize it and get it all
I
put
looked
out
down there
there.
and everybody's just getting a year shaved off. Look at steak. Their discussion? Make the motion to approve?
I lost audio. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
the women
you-
have made a motion to approve.
Okay.
You don't
I'm
have to
sorry.
vote, Anthony, because we're in the majority.
The audio cut out right as I was being cut out, I suppose. So there was
Your term was being cut.
okay, even better. I got a baby coming in a week and a half, so I'm gonna need some time. So,
Congratulations.
hey, thanks. That's why Susie's filling in next month. So there was a motion. Was there a second? Did I miss a second?
Yes, the motion was made to approve.
I'll
We need a
second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, means unanimous. Excellent.
yeah.
That means we cohere with the code, which is always nice. That ends our listed action items for the evening. If there's any extraneous comments or new business by any members of the commission, now is the time. Otherwise, you got to hold your peace for a full month.
Our next meeting is,
Our next meeting will be September 11th.
it is the 11th.
What? Oh, that's right. It is the 11th.
I had that wedding to go to, so they moved it. No, it's teasing.
Yeah.
They moved it, especially for me.
With that, we can accept a motion to adjourn, and everybody just stay cool. If I thought I heard Annette saying she wanted to get out of here.
I'd make a motion to adjourn. Go get some sleep.
I will. Jen, was that your second?
Yeah, sure. I'll second that.
Oh, Maya, there's a second. All in favor? We're waving adios approvingly. Have a great month, everybody, and stay comfortable.
Hi, Anthony.
That's it.
Bye, guys.
That was.
It's 105 out there.